Good enough. Okay. Thank you, Danielle. That was lovely. Now I have someone else to introduce you to, someone you've seen many other places, someone who spends a great deal of time helping others and helping others to help others, which is part of what we are all doing today. She is a dear pal, but also a bird owner. Didn't know that. I had a bird when I was a kid, and believe it or not, what did my bird die of? A tumor. I had one pet, and it died of cancer, of all things. But Karen is not my bird. She is a 12-year cancer survivor. 12 years. And she had some joy and a message to share with us today. So ladies and gentlemen, Karen Larson.
The bird is well at my house. I want to start just, first of all, recognizing all of you that are wearing those shirts that are survivors. You're strong, I know that. I want to start by telling a little bit of my story. Sitting in a doctor's office and hearing the news, you have cancer. Here's a little bit of what's going to happen to you. We're going to remove your breast. You're going to go through chemo. You're going to lose all your hair. That was all within a matter of seconds. Well, what happens if I just have the surgery and don't have the chemo? Well, your chances of reoccurrence will be 80%. Well, what if I have the surgery and the chemo? Your chances will be 50% of reoccurrence. Didn't sound like very good odds either way, and I really felt like someone had written the death sentence across my forehead. I left. Began a very long, painful process of over 9 months of chemo treatments. I can remember vomiting to where it would absolutely burn my throat from the chemicals that would be coming back up. And on one particular day, when my family was getting ready to go to church, and I told them to go on without me because I had a feeling something was going to happen that day, they left, and I just flipped open my Bible, and because I'm not so good with always remembering where it's located, I'm going to read this part to you. It was from 2 Corinthians, and it said, that you may have somewhat to answer them which glory in appearance and not in heart. I knew God was talking about my outward appearance. I went and got in the shower after they all left, and sure enough, every piece of my hair fell out into my hands. I cried like a baby. Every bit of your womanhood is kind of tied up in that. I looked in the mirror and I said, God, there is nothing left beautiful about me. Those huge scars, bald head, and the chemo treatments also caused you to gain weight. Not a very nice combination. As I looked in the mirror at myself, I asked God one thing: make me beautiful in your eyes. Through the next few months, I had people show me the greatest acts of kindness I had ever experienced in my life. I received so many cards and letters that people at the post office were actually starting to ask, who in the world is Karen Larson? They would come from all different places. It might have $5 in it or $10 in it. And it would say, I remember when you, and some I hadn't done anything for, but they did something for me. To the tune of about $50,000 in medical bills. So much money came in. By the end of the whole process, we didn't owe anything. I think one of the problems is rejection. As I looked in that mirror, there was a tendency there for even self-rejection. And I have to admit, I did that. And I also experienced rejection from some other people. The people that had looked at me before and accepted me for who I was and the way I looked, all of a sudden I didn't look like that anymore. And there was that kind of rejection from some people. During the extreme illness part, it was my 16-year-old daughter that was the one that took care of me. And I have a letter here that she wrote, and if it's okay, I'm just going to read that. I told her I was asked to do this today and ask her, since she couldn't come from Indiana, she sent this. It was the spring I turned 16. My mother and I were sitting outside on the picnic table. I can remember the tears in her eyes as she struggled to utter the words, "I have cancer." It really didn't hit me then. I really didn't know what cancer was or what people who had it have to go through. Mom had surgery. I stayed with her that night in the hospital. At the time, I knew Mom needed me, and I realized just how much I still needed her. Since everyone in the family was working long hours, I enthusiastically became my mother's caregiver. I changed her bandages and emptied drainage tubes. Then the chemo treatment started. Then the violent vomiting began day after day for about 3 weeks at a time. Just when Mom would start getting a little life back in her, it was time to go for another treatment. This went on for 9 months. It was hard to watch a loved one go from being a vibrant, energetic person who always took care of it all, to someone who was completely dependent on someone else for everything. I kept a brave face, but on the inside I was scared. Not of the work, not of late night ER visits, not of buckets of puke. That's my daughter, what can I say? Not of sponge baths or spoon feedings. But when I looked at my mother lying on that bed, I couldn't bear the thought of losing my best friend. But somewhere along the way, you just have to put your fear aside and jump in head first. It is difficult to watch your loved ones struggle with the emotional and physical pain of the whole ordeal, knowing that there is nothing you can do but pray, love, and stay beside them through their long and painful journey so they don't have to travel alone. That's from my daughter, Carrie. She got one break during that time, and that was from my sister who came for a visit. And she spent about a week or two with me and did the same kind of deal and gave my daughter a break. She ended up dying of cancer before me. We didn't even know she had it. One last thought, I guess, is through all that kindness that was shown to me, it gave me a desire to show kindness to others, to try to help them. If you could picture 3 kernels of corn, I would say the first one is a planting when other people are planting into your life acts of kindness. The second one is when you begin to plant in the lives of others. The third final one is when at last our bodies will finally be finished here, and that will be planted. Because it's not a matter of if we die, but when we die. We will all die sooner or later. So for that final kernel of corn, that's the greatest hope. For me personally, it's from accepting Christ as my Savior. And the fruit that will come from that, all the little seeds that we plant along the way, every time you have a chance to do something kind for someone else, it might be a covered dish that you bring to someone that's sick. It might be sending that card or that letter. Whatever it is, plant something, give something to somebody else, and let's make this world a better place. Thank you.